for Life and co-founder of the Silent No More Awareness Campaign, the largest campaign reaching out to men, women, grandparents, family members who've experienced abortion, come through healing, and speak publicly about their regret and there to change hearts and minds. And here we are at the very end of this April month, which was Abortion Recovery Awareness Month. And what I like to say is people say abortion recovery. Yeah, those of us who have been dealing in abortion recovery know there are so many people out there hurting. Well, joining me today is a wonderful woman who, although she had a life with abortion in it, not one, not two, but three, sadly, and she's going to tell us about that, but it led her to healing and then to found her own abortion recovery program called An Even Place. So welcome to the program, Mindy Lefaucheur. Great to have you.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's go back a little bit for our people, because you had told me that you have had 3 abortions in your past. How old were you for the very first one? And just tell us briefly about those circumstances.
How old was I? I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, probably early 20s. And basically I was living a wrong kind of lifestyle, and I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, I had broke up with that father and was with another guy that I preferred to be with. And when we finally found out I was pregnant, he said, "It's me or the baby." And, as a long story short goes, I was searching for love. And so I said, well, okay, if you're willing to stay, then, I'll do this. And
so he knew it wasn't his baby, or you had some way of being sure about that?
Yeah, somehow we knew. I mean, it's been a while, but somehow we knew at that point. Yes.
All right. And now, so how far along were you? Was it a first trimester abortion?
No, I was about 12 weeks.
Wow. Okay. So it was definitely a surgical abortion, right?
Yeah.
And did he take you? Was there any support there?
I don't think he did. No, I don't recall him taking me. I recall a friend taking me. Wow. And I don't have any contact with her anymore, but she took me and she brought me home, and I stayed at her house for a little bit, and then I went back to my home.
With him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So now, immediately following that abortion, did you have any physical problems? How was the treatment at the clinic? And was he supportive at that point? Like, to kind of, how are you and all that? Or was it just like ignore the fact and move on?
Yeah.
Kind of give me that picture.
I think it was probably ignore it for both of us and move on, because I knew what I did. My mom was a neonatal nurse in Denver. And so she worked with people, or with babies that were, as big as your hand, and they would be there for a couple months because they were born premature. I always knew what pregnancy was. And I had gone to her nursery several times before HIPAA and was able to visit these little babies. But I think we both were like, yeah, let's just move on. I was surviving my life,
Right.
I was trying
to. So now, did the relationship continue with him, and for how long?
So 3 months later, after the abortion, I was pregnant again. But this time I was pregnant with my daughter, and I refused to have an abortion. And I swore I would never have an abortion again, actually. So I had her, and it was such a tumultuous relationship, very toxic, abusive on both our ends.
You're talking about your boyfriend, right? The same guy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We ended up in different states for a while, and I ended up having, her. So because he was her father, we stayed in contact for many, many years, but it wasn't good.
Okay. Now you said you had 3. So what were the circumstances for the second abortion?
Well, it's interesting because, what I always tell women is it's when you have multiple abortions and they're so long ago that sometimes we can get those details muddled, right?
Right.
So I don't know I can't tell you specifically. I know that the second and third were very, very close together. I know that one of them was the father of my daughter. And then I know the other one was a guy I met at college. And I don't know the order of which those came, but I know that the one abortion where it was the guy that I met at college, he just didn't want another baby. He didn't want me, didn't want another baby. And abortion was the only option on the table. And so I went and had an abortion. It was fear. Every single one of those was fear. Fear is something, losing something or not getting something, or, whatever that was. Everything was fear-based. And the third abortion, again, it was just more or less, there's a lot of things surrounding the pregnancy that were bad. So when I got pregnant with him and we weren't together and it was already looking bad, I don't know. It's a lot. I don't want to go into all those details, but it was just
Right.
one of those things that it wasn't good. And I
All
just
right. All right.
decided
So now 3 abortions, all these problems. So how was your life? In other words, what made you get from that point to say I need help? Like what was going on in your life that you said to yourself, I got to get help?
I don't even know that I had those words in my head, so to speak. I think what happened was I wasn't a Christian. And when I got saved, I was a mess. Again, I knew what I had done all 3 times. And I kind of progressed down this road of thinking from my early years, long before the abortions, that there must be something wrong with me. And after the abortion, I kind of shifted that and said, well, I know there's something wrong with me for me to do something like this. Who does this to their children is what I thought. Well, when I got saved, I was just clinging to hope, like, oh gosh, Lord, you can love me. You can do this for me, kind of that thing. And I didn't have any concept or basis for Christianity, but I was in church and a pregnancy center director came and was sharing about what they do. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to go help women not have an abortion, because that's all I knew. I didn't know that there was help for abortion recovery. I had no idea that it existed. But when I walked in the door and I told my story and I ended up crying in front of her, and she's like, I think you need to go through this abortion recovery study. And that's exactly what I did.
And which program was it?
Forgiven and Set Free.
Okay. That's a beautiful, for those who don't know, that's a beautiful Bible study program written by Linda Cochran. It's one of the very early Bible recovery programs for abortion that was written, was Linda Cochran. She was one of the pioneers. Okay. So now you did that. And apparently you stayed connected, I guess, with the pregnancy center. So
No, actually, no, I did not. No, I didn't end up working there at all. In fact, the Lord shut the door. So I had a lot of work internally I had to do, had a lot of spiritual growth that I had to do. And so it was a good 15 to 20 years later that I found a pregnancy center in my area. I was in a completely different state and decided it's time. I want to go work there. And when I walked in the door, they said, oh, we don't have a program. They were 1.5 years old and we don't have abortion recovery. We'd love for you to come and do this. And I was like, great. And so I started with them, and that's where I really started doing abortion recovery. And then the Lord called me out, and he said, I want you to go out and do a standalone abortion recovery ministry. And I thought, this is the stupidest. I thought it was my own thoughts. And I thought, this is the stupidest thing I ever heard. And so I ignored it. And then a couple of years later, the Lord was impressing. This is 2018 now. And I was actually working with Silent No More as a regional coordinator. And the Lord's impressing upon me to do a virtual abortion recovery. And of course, this is before COVID, before virtual really became, a really big thing. And I never did a Zoom group. And I suggested it to somebody and they were like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I thought, no, that's stupid. So twice I told the Lord no. And then in 2021, he renewed the call and brought me back into this ministry.
Right. So now, from what I understand, your abortion recovery program is internet-based, meaning, right? People, so it's called An Even Place. So now describe that for us.
Well, I got the name from Psalm 26:12. It says, my foot stands in an even place. In the congregations, I will bless the Lord. And when I read that, I just knew in my heart, if there's anxieties and grief that we're not dealing with in our heart, we're not really standing on even ground, are we? And we can't really raise our hands. We can't worship the Lord authentically. And that's where the name of the place came from. And so I knew right away we needed to do virtual. And that's what the Lord had called me to. And so and by then I was versed in Zoom and how to use Zoom and that kind of thing. And so we started.
Well, I'll tell you, that to me, all this Zoom and internet-based things has been one of, if you say what was a good that came out of COVID, I would have to say the use of Zoom
yes,
and
I would agree.
The ability to reach people directly that, you can have, like you're saying, an abortion recovery program and you don't need a brick and mortar place to do it.
That's right.
So that's really a blessing. So if people want to say, yeah, okay, Mindy, I want to be in touch with you. I want to be in touch with this program and just take first steps. Where do we go and what do we do?
Just go out to the website, www.anevenplace.com, and there's an interest form link out there, and you can go out there and fill that out. We offer abortion recovery, but we also offer healing from your broken sexual past, because typically there's broken sexual activity that comes with abortion, and a lot of women are struggling with that. And so we offer that, and we offer a monthly virtual drop-in group as well. So we have a podcast out there for women struggling with abortion.
And they can find that all from that webpage,
That's correct.
anevenplace.com, correct?
That's correct. Yes. Yes.
Wow. This is awesome. This is awesome. Now, just as a quick thing, it's not just for women, right? Tell us some of the people groups you're helping on your virtual program.
Well, to date, it is women just for us. There is a very real need for men, and I'm very well aware of that. But until the Lord brings them, we're not servicing men. But it doesn't mean we don't have resources. So one of our philosophies is, if you come to us, and our website is meant to be very engaging and interacting. So it's not just information based. And if you come to us and find out that you look at our webpage and our About Us page or whatever, and you just don't, we're not a good fit for you, whatever that reasoning is, we want to help you find a good fit. So reach out to us anyway, because we're connected with abortion recovery organizations nationwide, and we want to get you plugged in. And there's a lot of virtual groups going on. So we really want to get somebody plugged in that way.
Right. So if a man stumbles onto your place, an Even Place,
That's right.
You'll refer them to another program.
That's right.
That deals with men. That's great. It's wonderful. Well, I have to tell you, Mindy, it's like what you can't, just not think about how much mercy is out there from the Lord to bring everybody to healing. So you're just another one of his, worker bees who are out there bringing that healing. And it's just amazing how you went from, having 3 abortions, accepting Christ and back into your life.
That's right.
And then establish this program. So I wish you all the best. And this is Abortion Recovery Awareness Month, but I think we have to be aware about the need for abortion recovery all through the year, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining me. God bless you and continue all that great work. Okay.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay. Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you learned a little bit more here, because like we said, abortion is always bad for the baby, but it's always bad for the mom and the dad and the grandparents. We're here for you. So much abortion recovery programs are out there. Maybe you know someone who's hurting right now, and you can go to abortionforgiveness.com, put in your zip code, and you'll see where there's a recovery program right near you. Until next time, this is Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Thank you, and God bless.
Hi, this is Dr. Teresa Burke, founder of Rachel's Vineyard and Pastoral Associate of Priests for Life. As abortion continues, there is a growing mountain of medical evidence that abortion harms women, men, and families. In fact, some of the researchers who have come to this conclusion and published their research identify themselves as pro-choice. Abortion advocates try to hide and bury this information, but they cannot stop it from coming out. The initiative Healing the Shockwaves of Abortion helps people focus on the damage that abortion does to the whole family. Relationships are damaged, trust is compromised, and communication is stifled, and intimacy is blocked, and the effects are intergenerational. Yet healing is available, and this healing is not just individual, but involves the whole family as well. Strong families make for a strong society. At abortionshockwaves.com, you'll find more information about both the wounds and the healing.